In the year 2231, technology had evolved in unimaginable ways. The world was a blend of cybernetic enhancements, artificial intelligence, and medical breakthroughs. Still, there were some frontiers that humanity hadn't quite figured out, such as the deeper understanding of the mind and how to connect it with others. Neural interfaces existed, but they were mostly controlled devices that allowed users to interact with technology. However, some things were not as they seemed. Ben O'Connor was an average man, leading a quiet life. He worked in a tech company, creating software to help streamline communication systems. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. He had always been fascinated by the human mind, reading articles and watching documentaries on the brain and neural links. However, the more he studied, the more he became aware of the dangers of pushing too far into that realm. Not everyone could control what they saw or felt when their minds connected. So, when a new company, Neurolink Technologies, announced their experimental neural interface to the public, Ben's curiosity was piqued but tempered with caution. He read all about it, carefully weighing the pros and cons, but never imagined he would be one of the first to try it. Tessa Collins, on the other hand, was a researcher at Neurolink Technologies. She was brilliant and driven, eager to explore the potential of neural connections. She had been working on a new project that aimed to allow humans to share thoughts and feelings directly with each other, bypassing the need for verbal or written communication. It was still in its early stages, and the technology was far from perfect. But Tessa believed that if it worked, it could change the world, offering new ways for people to connect and understand one another. Both Ben and Tessa would cross paths in a way neither could predict. It all started with an unexpected meeting at a tech conference. Ben had attended to learn more about the emerging neural technologies, and Tessa was giving a presentation on the possibilities of neural links. Ben was captivated by her talk. She was charismatic, speaking with a passion that made the complex concepts seem accessible. As the presentation ended, he approached her with questions about the potential risks of the neural bond, especially in untested real-world conditions. Tessa smiled, intrigued by his thoughtful questions. "You seem more interested than most," she said. "Would you like to see the technology firsthand?" Ben hesitated but, after a moment, agreed. "Sure, why not?" Middle. Tessa led Ben to the private Neurolink testing facility, a sleek and modern building with rows of advanced equipment and glowing screens. "This is where we test new iterations of our neural interfaces," she explained, guiding him toward a chair in the center of the room. "What you'll experience is completely safe. The device is designed to sync only with approved users, but it's still experimental. I should warn you." Ben nodded. He trusted her. After all, she was the expert. The neural interface she attached to his head was small, almost invisible, like a sleek band that conformed to the shape of his skull. Tessa assured him that everything was ready to go. "Ready?" she asked. "Ready," Ben said, though a small knot formed in his stomach. As the system powered up, a soft hum filled the room. Ben's vision blurred for a moment before his surroundings seemed to fade, and he found himself inside a vast, abstract landscape, a strange world made entirely of shifting, colorful lights and patterns. His thoughts began to race, but oddly enough, they didn't feel like his own. "What is this?" Ben asked aloud. "You're experiencing the interface," Tessa replied, though her voice sounded distant, as if she were miles away. "It's designed to give you a glimpse into how neural links work. The patterns are visual representations of your thoughts and feelings, and right now you're experiencing them as an abstract form. It's like a digital echo of your mind." But something went wrong. Without warning, Ben felt an overwhelming sensation of dizziness and disorientation, and a wave of strange emotions flooded his consciousness. His heart pounded, and his mind began to spiral into confusion. He heard Tessa's voice again, but this time it wasn't just her words. He felt her confusion too. "What's happening?" Ben shouted in panic, trying to remove the device, but it was stuck. The feeling of another mind overlapping his was too much to bear. His pulse quickened as their neural pathways began to merge. He could feel Tessa's thoughts as if they were his own, and vice versa. It wasn't just a fleeting sensation. Their minds were intertwined in a deep, unintentional bond. Tessa's voice now echoed in his head, calm but urgent. "Ben, something's wrong. We need to disconnect." But Ben wasn't listening. He was overwhelmed by a flood of emotions he couldn't identify as his own. Fear, anxiety, loneliness, hope. It was as if he were experiencing the full spectrum of human emotion all at once, none of them his own. Tessa's thoughts, their thoughts, were like a swirling mass of raw, unfiltered energy. "I can't," Ben gasped, struggling to regain control over his thoughts. His head spun as he found himself trapped in a feedback loop. He could feel Tessa's growing panic, her racing heart, her overwhelming sense of being out of control. Then, as quickly as it began, the world around Ben shifted again. He was back in the real world, but it felt distant. The device had been removed, but the bond remained. Ben could still feel Tessa's thoughts, her emotions, and she could feel his. They sat in stunned silence. Tessa, now visibly shaken, was the first to speak. This was not supposed to happen. Ben couldn't find the words to respond. His body was trembling, and the sensations of another mind in his own were still lingering. It was like they had shared an experience so deeply intertwined that it had become impossible to separate. Ending. Over the next few weeks, Ben and Tessa tried everything to reverse the neural bond. They consulted with other experts, tried to hack the interface, and ran countless tests, but nothing worked. The neural link, though accidental, had created an unbreakable connection between them. They could now feel each other's thoughts, emotions, even pain. At first, the bond was overwhelming. Ben would wake up with Tessa's fear of failure lingering in his mind. Tessa would sense Ben's feelings of inadequacy, the small moments of self-doubt he had never shared with anyone. But as the days passed, they began to adjust. They learned to live with the connection, understanding that it was part of them now. They couldn't escape it, so they embraced it. Their relationship grew, not just because of the connection, but because they began to understand each other in a way no one else ever could. They shared moments of joy, sadness, and even anger. Moments that were now amplified by the bond, but also more meaningful because they could sense the depth of the other's emotions. In time, they realized that the neural link, though unintended, had given them something unique. A deeper understanding of one another that no technology or words could ever replicate. They weren't just two strangers anymore. They were two souls connected, navigating the complexities of their shared thoughts and feelings.